I know, welcome back to Lives. I think it's time we play a little 7 Days to Die. Alright, this is where we left off last time. Oh, nice. Dude, I have got a lot of ammo for my sniper rifle. I need to move that back onto my hotbar. I hadn't had it down there because I ran out of, well, I didn't run out of ammo. That my bag got destroyed. Kind of put a kibosh on all that because it took all my weapons and ammo with it. This is my backup sniper rifle. I don't have a backup for my backup. I don't appreciate that at all. Oh man, it's weird. There's no zombies in here. I Today was our annual. That's not right. Our monthly meeting at work, and that meeting turned into 3 hours. 3 hours. It's supposed to be like 45 minutes. We were there all afternoon, and they're like, you know what? Just go home. We'll pick back up tomorrow. Or not go home, but I'm already home. Don't worry about work for the rest of the day, I guess. Is what I meant by that. We'll pick back up tomorrow. I'm like, I don't want to pick up back tomorrow. But they've shut down the system for the day. So now I've got to wait till tomorrow to finish my work for the week. That's alright, we get paid for the extra long meetings, so that's nice. That's a addition. But I was not expecting it. I figured, alright, we already got the one part of the meeting stuff done this week. Every month we have a couple of meetings we have to go to, and so we did one this week, and then today's was the second part. And I was like, alright, we'll get this done. I can go back to work. Might take me a little longer than usual to get my work for the day done, but if I can get everything done today, then I won't have to do anything tomorrow. I did not even get close. I did not even get close. I wish I'd gotten up earlier. Had I known what was going to happen, I would have gotten up earlier. I didn't know, though. So, hey, zombie. Smashed. Alright. So we... Looks like straight south of here maybe is another spot. You know what? Straight west of here, though, is 2 spots that are bigger, so I'm gonna go west. I mean, it is full of whiskey and gold, alright? Know what the song says? I was trying to remember what went with the gold. I couldn't remember. Like, something, something gold. Anyways. Oh, I just ran over a crawler. Poor little crawly guy. What's up with this big orange building? What is this? It's a fire station? It's a fire station, isn't it? So, yep. It's got such a weird design to it. It's also not really orange. Kind of looks orange, though. Are there no roads over here going to the west? Fine, I'll drive cross country. Hey, bear. No. Oh man, I saw a video. I saw a video this week of a guy riding his bicycle through the woods, and rode past a bear, and it started chasing him. And he was faster than the bear wasn't really trying. He was faster than the bear on his bike because the bear wasn't really trying. And so he he was riding down a bike path, and a branch had fallen across the bike path, and he jumped off his bike and took off running. Whoa. And hid in the woods for a bit, but the bear had given up by that point. So, but yeah, it was funny. It wouldn't be funny in real life. I mean, it was real life, but it wouldn't be funny if it happened to me. Although, to be fair, I wouldn't be riding my bike in the woods, so I don't actually own a bike. I used to. I don't know what happened to it. I'll guarantee you it was one of those things where, like, I had a bike, and then someone else wanted a bike, and then they're like, I'm gonna use your bike, and I was like, no. And then they just took it and said they'd bring it back later, and they never brought it back. I can't even remember what it looked like. Whatever happened to my bike? I don't know. A lot of my stuff goes that route. I don't know. I don't want to get into complaining about how they smashed up all my stuff, because that happens a lot. Both me complaining about it and it happening. Not smash up necessarily, but take, break, don't replace, don't put back, you know. So we managed to get our D&D session in this week on Wednesday night. So we can talk about that a little bit. It was alright. I've had much worse. It wasn't great. It probably wasn't even good, to be honest. It was just alright. Oh, you know what? I don't need you. I don't need you at all, actually. I think I've got... Oh, no I don't. Weird. I thought I had shotgun shells shoved off in there. 9mm ammo I don't need. Mechanical parts, sniper rifle parts, bullet casings. I'm gonna keep... Actually, I'm just gonna eat these, I think. Yeah. Drink my last couple of these. Okay. Yeah, we hit our level like 3 or 4 weeks ago, and our DM just went crazy. And so he doesn't prep, and then he acts like it's oh, awesome. He acts like it's a big hassle for him to have to prep for us. Even though it's his game, he invited us, and he talks about wanting to play other modules once we're done with this one. But he acts like it's a big hassle for him to have to prep for us, and so he comments on that a lot. Oh, it's just so much work I had to do prepping for this game tonight. Dude, you don't prep. We can tell. Everything's loaded in for you. You're using someone else's work. You're using a store purchased module, storyline, quests, fights, all that. You prepped none of this. What are you talking about? Why do you keep saying that to us like we don't know what's going on? And so one of the things that he does not like is leveling. And he doesn't like combat because, I don't know, maybe combat leads to leveling. And so he feels that it makes him work harder, I guess, if we level up, because then we have new powers and we're stronger. And so the same stuff we've been fighting becomes a little easier. Not a lot easier, because that's not how the game works, but a little easier. And especially when he combines fights and makes us fight multiple sets of fights at the same time. So we get to our level, and he's like, "Yeah, you guys can't level up." And we're like, "What?" This was a couple weeks ago, right? I've already talked about this, but so he wouldn't let us level up, and then he said he'd let us level up at the next long rest, and then in the middle of that, after not letting us do that, he said we could level up the next session because we'd long rest, and then we didn't. We didn't long rest. We didn't finish what we were working on, and so he didn't let us level up. And so we move on, anyways, and we finally finish the dungeon. And there's only a little tiny bit left, like one fight, and then that's it. And then in the middle of that, I keep complaining that he doesn't let us level up, and I think it's ridiculous, and he doesn't care, which is one of our issues, is that the whole thing is just like some kind of experiment to him, and he really doesn't care if we're enjoying ourselves or not. So we finally get our long rest in, and he said that we had to have everything. He sends us a message. You must have everything ready to level up. You must have everything ready to level up before we start. Because if we level up in the middle of the session, he doesn't want to waste a bunch of time. The guy who's never prepared and we have to sit around and wait for him to read things. He doesn't want to waste a bunch of time in our session waiting for us to level up. So we get our stuff together. Now, we play online in a system called Roll20. And it has built-in, well, they're not really built-in, but it has digital character sheets and so you can't like enter your level up information because it would be in the sheet. And then, you know, it's not like you're playing on paper and you could just run with the old information until you were allowed to hit that next level. And so we couldn't actually enter it into our sheet. And so we do like one fight, and then we leave there and we go level up. And then he's like, "Well, I gotta go early tonight," and so we'll just end it here, and you guys can fill out your character sheets. And yeah, and then we'll pick up from here next time. I'm like, "What? You told us we had to be ready tonight because we were leveling up mid-session." "Yeah, well, I decided I gotta leave early," and I'm like, "So really we could have leveled up at any time, and there's nothing that, you don't even have anything planned that would..." Oh. Hey, where'd you come from? Nothing you have planned that stopped us from leveling up, you just didn't want us to level up. "Well, I think it's weird that you guys level up in the middle of dungeons," and I'm like, "Okay, but that's the way we've been playing for a year." Like a year. It's probably not quite a year, but almost a year. So if you didn't like it, why didn't you have a different system in place when we started? And this is actually our second campaign in the last year. So if you didn't like it from the first campaign, because it doesn't seem like it'd be a big deal, but letting him choose when we level up sucks. Because he chooses us never to level up. He would prefer we did the entire campaign without leveling up, probably. Because if we have more power, that makes it easier for us to defeat the monsters in the book, and he wants us to die. That's what it feels like. And so yeah, he didn't have a good reason for us not to level up, but he also said he was changing the mechanics of combat because he didn't like this thing that's not even a rule. It's not even officially part of combat. It's a thing you can add if you want to. And so, look, I never even came down here and investigated this place. It's called flanking. And so it's done by placing two characters on opposite sides, oh nice, of a monster. And then that gives you advantage, which in the game means you get to roll your dice twice to see what happens. And you take the better of the two rolls. That's it. It's all advantages. It's not some super... Yep. I entered a gun shop. There are... Hey, I haven't seen a spider zombie in a long time. There's two of them in here. Look at that. I completed a challenge. And, so, flanking's not a big deal. And he's like, I'm getting rid of flanking. And we're like, okay. And he's like, what are your thoughts on that? I've got my reasons. Okay, what are your reasons? Because I don't really have thoughts one way or the other. It doesn't seem to really come into play that often for me. I mean, it's nice when it does, but it's not that big a deal. So... And so I'm talking to the other guy who plays, and I'm like, dude, why is he getting rid of flanking? I mean, you don't use it. He doesn't use it, really. I occasionally use it, so it seems like it's aimed specifically at my character. Because I occasionally use it, but not that often. And, in fact, I think I've only been in position to use flanking one time since he changed the rule. And so it's bizarre to just change it all of a sudden. And so what had happened was he read a post online about it. Not that he didn't like it, not that it was causing issues. He just read a post where other people didn't like it and decided he didn't like it based off that post. It's really made no change to the way we play, other than the fact that he's the only one that has used flanking since he got rid of flanking. And I mean, it really is such a small thing. I think mathematically it increases the average roll by like 3 points. And most of the time you either really hit or really miss. It's not that often that you just barely hit something. So advantage, not that amazing. Definitely not that amazing to get rid of it or include it even. And so the other guy I'm talking to him, and he's like, yeah, he told me he wanted to get rid of that because he had a boss fight coming up, and he was afraid that flanking would make the boss super easy to fight. I'm like, okay. So once again, he's trying to kill us, and he's afraid that the in-game mechanics that we've been using for like a year are disadvantageous to the creatures we're fighting, and so he can't do enough damage to kill us, and so he wants to get rid of it. Got it. Got it. Makes perfect sense. Not because we were having problems with it, not because it was making fights super easy or something. Our fights aren't even close to easy because of how many things happen and how he makes all the creatures overpowered. And so, yeah, so he gets rid of flanking. And then the very next session, he uses flanking for like an entire fight. And then when he moves the creatures into flanking position, he's like, "Oh yeah, we're not using flanking anymore. I can't believe I just used flanking for those 8 hits." Like, yep, I wasn't worried about it. I didn't figure I'd be in a position for flanking. So, because it's hard, because I play a thief who is the one that can get the best advantage out of flanking, and a cleric who doesn't really get that close most of the time. And so if I get my cleric close, though, then my thief can get advantage, and that lets him use sneak attack. The game is designed so that the thief is going to use sneak attack every round, but he isn't like that, and so he wants to do away with sneak attack every round. Meanwhile, he doesn't keep track of the key points on his monk, which he only has 7 of, and proceeded to use about 15 key points the other night. We didn't say anything because it gives us something else to grumble about, and it's like, yep, there goes another 20 key points for him. You know, since he's got 7 and we haven't taken a short rest in forever, which is how they come back. And yeah, and so anyways, so we get to level up. He ends the night, and that was last session. So this session, the one we just did, he asked us what we want to do, and the other guy unfortunately decides to go to town. I say unfortunately because it means a lot of talking by people who don't matter. And it's my biggest pet peeve playing these games is that the NPCs talk a lot but don't provide any extra anything. And so we go to town. And so he starts talking to people about where to buy potions. And so everybody wants to talk, but nobody really has any potions. And they don't know where to buy potions, but they do have lots of things to say. Lots and lots. I'm going to go ahead and head home at this point, I think, since it's dark. And I got my levels, so now I can get the electric fences that I wanted to try out. So let's go back, hey bear, and check out electric fences next time, I guess. Yeah, I'm gonna finish my little story here. Oh man, got hung up on a set of bricks. And so they're talking, and there's this one character named, I don't know, Endreth, I think is his name. And he's supposed to be the contact person for information. And he never really has useful information, but he talks a lot. And okay, I need to go east, it looks like here. And so he's talking and talking and talking. And I left to go use the restroom while he was talking, and I came back, and he was still talking. And then he had to go, I assume to use the restroom. And then the other guy is like, he's like, you can fill him in on what he missed while he was gone. And so the other guy's like, wow, I can't remember what he filled me in on. It was like one thing. Like, one thing. And one tiny, one-sentence thing. And he'd been talking for like 10 minutes. And that's what it's like to talk to these NPCs. And then we go to buy horses, because we don't remember where we left our horses. We've taken a lot of boats recently, so I'm not exactly sure where we dropped off our horses, and I didn't write it down. And so we just assume they're in either of these two other cities than the one we're in, and so we're going to buy new horses. It's not like we left them in the middle of the wilderness. They're just at a stables somewhere. And so we ask around who to talk to get horses, and they tell us there's two places you can get horses. Now here's two places you can get horses. You can go to this guy or this other guy. Now the first guy is shady. And I'm like, isn't that guy that we already arrested? He's like, oh yeah, that guy's place is out of business. So you'll have to go to the other guy. So we go to the other guy, and we start talking to the other guy about what we need. And you know what he says? I don't sell horses. Then why did people tell us to come here to sell horses? It makes no sense. If we ask people where to buy horses, they tell us where to go to buy horses. Shouldn't the guy sell horses? And so he was not happy. Our DM was not happy with us because we decided not to buy horses at all at that point. He's like, well, it's not a big enough town to have a place that just sells horses. I'm like, that can't be true. That can't be true. He's like, why you say that? I'm like, because there's two places that make wagons. There's two places that make clothes. In an era where most people probably made their own clothes, there's two quarries in this town that just mine stone, so that's got to go somewhere. There's two inns. There's two taverns, but there's no place that sells horses. This place is huge. Nope, there's no place that sells horses. I'm like, fine, I'm leaving. He's like, but you gotta finish dealing with this guy with. I'm like, nope, I'm just walking. You don't want horses? Nope, I don't want horses. But this guy can get you horses. I'm like, no, the guy doesn't have horses. The guy's offering to go talk to somebody else to get horses. Why didn't they just send us to the guy with horses in the first place? Well, because this guy knows who to go to get the horses. Well, why did the last person send us to the wagon guy then if the wagon guy doesn't sell horses? Well, because they knew he'd know where to get horses. Yeah, that's not what they said. They said go to this guy to buy horses. I'm done talking to 17 people to get one thing done. I'm not using a horse. So we didn't get horses. And then he said we couldn't level up because he wanted to force us out of the dungeon that we were in, and that was why we needed a long rest. This plays into what's going on in last session. And so he said that one of the things that was happening was he wanted us out of the dungeon because of all these things that we were going to have to do. And so we sleep for the night, and then he says there's a big commotion outside. And he wanted us to roll to see if we wake up. And I'm like, well, my one character only sleeps 4 hours a night. Well, she doesn't even sleep. She meditates for 4 hours. Yep, I totally missed my road. She meditates for 4 hours at a time for her sleep. And because she's an elf. And so, yeah, she'd have been awake. And he's like, well, it's like 7 in the morning, so I figure you guys got another couple hours of sleep. I'm like, are you kidding me? We usually get up at like 6 a.m. Why are we sleeping in this late? We got things to do. We have a plan already of where we're going. And he's like, okay, fine. It's 7 o'clock in the morning, or 6 o'clock in the morning, when they hear commotion. And what do? I'm like, well, okay, well, my thief will stealth out and see what's going on. And so I follow him, but even though I rolled a 19 out of a possible 20, I could not quite hear what they were saying. And then I followed him to another place and rolled a... what did I roll on that one? That one wasn't as good. That one was terrible. Well, no, it wasn't terrible. I rolled a 14 out of a possible 20. Still a decent enough roll. And still couldn't quite hear what was going on, but it seemed like it was a natural occurrence, the guy said. This is... it's like a natural disaster happened. Like, okay, well, then I'm going to go back. Okay, so you go back and you wake everybody up and you start telling them what's going on. I'm like, I didn't say that. Well, you're not going to tell them what's going on? I'm like, I don't know, but I didn't decide that. You can't just say what my character is doing like that. Well, are you going to go back? Like, yeah, I'm going to go back to the end. Well, you're going to tell them what's going on? I'm like, I don't know if they're awake yet. Stop saying what my character does. And, so, turns out it's not a natural disaster, like I'd been told 3 times. People blew up a bomb in the village. But somehow that translated into natural disaster. And, I'm like... So does he think it was a one-off bomb, or is it like a reoccurring thing, like they're going to come back and get it and reuse it? And he's like, no, it's a one-off bomb. They might make others. I'm like, okay, well, I'm assuming since it was fire that it's coming from the fire people, and that is one of the places we're headed to next. So there's not really a whole lot we can do about that. You're not going to go help the victims? I'm like... No, why would we? We're adventurers. We're not medics, or... I think I said we're not the UN. You know, you got bad guys to hunt down? We're there. You want to start a leprosy colony? You get somebody else. And, So yeah, I don't even know what was going on in his head, that this was the big thing that we had to come out of the dungeon for. And then we get something else happened. What was the other thing that happened? Oh, we got a message from this guy. This all important message. No hurry. He's got something he wants us to check out. He's got no information on it, of course. But you know, when we get time, we can go check it out. But not to check it out before we did the next thing we probably planned on doing anyways. We're like, okay, so also not important. Bomb, got it. But there's not a lot we can do about that. It was a bomb. The whole village got destroyed, apparently. And I'll be honest, I know what and where that bomb came from, and we did the first part of that quest, but he did not let us intercept the bomb. It was literally a building we were in. We talked to the person we were supposed to talk to. We fought with the people we were supposed to fight. And there was no mention of this sphere of destruction, or whatever he was calling it. Orb of destruction, I think, is what he was saying. We totally did the first part of that quest already, but he didn't mention it to us. And he didn't mention it at all. So now I don't know what we're supposed to do. A, because they blew it up without talking to anybody or saying why they did what they did. They didn't leave a note. They didn't tell anybody. And the book is all, you know, they send out a warning message that they're going to destroy this town if we don't stop hunting them down. We got none of that. If you go to this certain bar, the bar owner is going to mistake you for the people who are supposed to pick up the bomb, and is going to offer to sell you the bomb. And that never happened, even though we talked to the person who's supposed to sell the bomb. And so, yeah, it's a little confusing what he expects us to do. I thought there was going to be a bunch of stuff, but once again, he talked for 2 hours and nothing happened. And then after all that talking, just as we were about to leave town, he says, "Yeah, I think I gotta get up early again tomorrow, so I'm gonna go ahead and call the session here, and we can pick it up next week with you guys leaving town." Okay, because I don't really have anything else prepared, so I'll need to get some more things prepared before we can do the next part. Fine, so that's 2 weeks in a row we've ended early, because he wasn't prepared. Alright, with that, I'm going to call it a day. Click like, subscribe, share, and catch the next one. I will talk to you later.